So let's talk about how you got into radio.
Man, I don't know. That happened so quick. When I first originally was starting the Bring the Bars group, to be honest, I don't even remember what came first, the Bring the Bars or the radio show, actually, to be honest with you. I did the global domination, and then I was meeting all these artists. Like I said, I had conversations with these people outside of music and life, and I talked to them. They would tell me like, "Oh man, you're good at like being a personable person." So I thought, I'm going to start this podcast. I'm going to start Bring the Bars podcast was the name I had for it. And it was just a YouTube podcast that I wanted to do. And my very first episode, I asked an artist I worked with by the name of JP, the Pompathillion. People, I pledge for you guys to check him out. This guy is absolutely incredible. But um, yeah, he agreed to be on it. No fan base built up on it whatsoever. I did the very first episode, and then Freedom K Radio hit me up right after that very first episode aired and said, "We loved your podcast. Would you be interested in having a time slot on a radio station?" And
What's
so then
Freedom K Radio?
it's a website. It's a website radio. FreedomKRadio.net, 24/7. It's all hip hop. There's different podcasts on it, different shows. There's pure music slots. There's podcast slots. It's a radio station, a 24/7 radio station. More marketed in the States. I'm the only Canadian guy on it. And they just saw it, and I don't even know how they saw the podcast, how they heard about it, but they listened. They wanted me on. I had to send in like a resume to them, and then out of nowhere they're like, "Okay, in 2 weeks, can you send us our first episode?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And then it went from there. And then the Bring the Bars podcast became the show on radio and not just the YouTube show.
Yeah, that's fresh. So how do you make your show? What do you do? How does it
Uh,
happen?
it's for radio, so there's no video on this one. How I make it happen was once I had the idea of Bring the Bars, the networking group, like we said, what I wanted to do is make it different than all these other Facebook groups. So what I did is I gave people incentives. So the people who showed true networking and they were actually commenting on other tracks and like, giving feedback to the artist, I saw that in the group. So I'd ask them to be on the show. So I picked them out through that. So people all wanted to go on radio, right? It is free. I wasn't all those other radio stations like, you want to be on radio? Okay, pay me this amount of money. I'll put you on rotation. No, this was all free. Just showed that you were true for networking. And so the ones who showed it got on, and then more people really started following those guidelines where now it became, you're put into a weekly random draw. All the artists that are in the private group of it now are in a weekly random draw that I do the draw generator online. All the names, pull it up, and that's the guy I'm interviewing the following week. And it's been going like that ever since. And I broke it up into segments. I have a random bar segment in the show where the guy who's not getting interviewed, just some random person gets their song played during the broadcast in a segment called Random Bars, where it's just a random person that's also had their name pulled out of the draw, not for the interview, but just to have their track played on rotation.
That's mad nifty. A lot of that is mad nifty. So how long have you been doing that now?
I just finished episode 27, and I'm doing episode 28 tomorrow. So pretty much since the pandemic started, I'm about a year now, a little less than a year.
So it's what, every 2 weeks you drop one?
Every week, but in between, I also do music specials of it, and I do specials. So there's certain ones where it's just me, but all I do is just play a bunch of different artists' music. At the end of this month, I did something. Autism Awareness Month was this month, so I've donated to a charity for Autism Canada, and everybody who donated a minimum $5 will be on the autism special. So I have specials like that, and it all goes to the charity. And yeah, so most of the times they're interviews. Like every 2 weeks is an interview. Every 2 weeks, or like in intervals, it's like a music special or there's an interview.
That's really dope, though. And do you find being on a internet radio station changed a lot for you versus being somewhere else like YouTube?
Yeah, big time. It brought more eyes to the YouTube and brought more eyes to the Bring the Bars group in general. Like I don't even know what the numbers are, but I didn't invite all these people to the group. I couldn't have went in personally and asked everyone to go. They're hearing it from word of mouth through the radio. I get my monthly ratings through it and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely impacted in a good way that I've used it to help other artists but benefit myself at the same time. because more people are inclined to follow the rules when they're getting something in return. So I kind of use it as like not a leverage, that's not the word, but like incentive for people to follow what Bring the Bars is supposed to be about. If you want to get on the radio show, well, show you're up for true networking. You don't have to like the person's song, but show that you listen to it. And if you don't like them, like you don't have to follow. You don't have to. Well, I'm not going to be like, oh, since you subbed to 15 people, you're in. No, it's nothing to do with that. It's to do with, did you actually listen to the track, and why did you like it, or why didn't you like it? And that branched off into now different shows on YouTube. Like Bring the Bars is a whole channel on YouTube now. We're doing the BTB Awards coming up soon, which is going to be a fun show where we have everybody involved in it, and I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, tell us a bit more about that. How about what you can reveal? Because I don't want you to like spoil whatever you can't spoil, you know?
We, from the past year, we had nominees that were all brought up. We did a voting for the awards. We have top mixtape, we have top album, we have top collaboration, we have top podcast guest, just some fun little awards like that. And throughout the show, it's not live, like I'm editing it together. It'll air live on YouTube where we'll all tune in, but I'm editing it beforehand. I got performers, presenters, comedy skits. It's going to be a total production that I'm one of the most proud, like I'm very proud of what this is going to become, and all the people involved in it. There's, oh man, I don't even know, like 20 different artists all involved in this. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's really dope. And that's going to be something that you're going to do live somewhere, or is it just going to be like a private event?
Well, we're posting it on YouTube. It'll be live to run for everybody to watch if anybody wants to tune in. And if you're not nominated or whatever, check it out for some good performances, and anybody can tune in live. So, but the people nominated and stuff and winning the awards are all BTB members. You have to be a BTB member to be considered for any of the awards or nominations.
Which makes total sense given it's the awards, and you're all about the proper networking games and the real investments of everything, which I think is really admirable, man. I think like in this era where like a lot of people talk a lot on the internet about this and that and the problems of this and that, and you've effectively created a solution for a lot of people, and that's like a really impressive thing to do in this era. Like, I can't say I've been super active in your group, but I know we talked a few times. We cool, but like, it was more like watching how you structured it and the way that you moderated it, but also let it become anarchy, but also let it didn't, because it's like, yo, you watching it, you paying attention to who does what, you running that data analysis shit, and you leveraging that data intelligence in order to find the right people to build with.
And you can get removed from the group as well. If you're spamming your links and you're doing the exact rules we don't want you to do, you can be removed from the group. So I keep an eye on that because I wanted to keep it the tight-knit community that I've built. And if, you know, a lot of people would say they're up for it because they want the free radio play. But once they don't show and they start spamming the links in everybody's comments, sorry, you're gone. That's not what this is about. And I want to say to you, because you're giving me all these props and stuff, I want to give props to you for how good of a host you are at this thing, man. For real. I do this for my podcast, and you're really good at keeping a conversation going. So all the props you're giving to me, I want to give a little bit back to you. So mad props to you. You're really good at this.